Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday meditation service. My name is Victor, and I'm honored to be of service this morning. We hope that our gathering today finds each and every one of you happy and healthy, but please know that if you are struggling in any way, our hope is that Temple Buddhist Center, our teachers, the teachings in our Sangha can be a source of strength for you, a source of refuge as we open our hearts to you and to your loved ones. Also, we want to welcome all of our Sangha from joining us from afar through our live streaming. The folks we lovingly refer to as our PJ Sangha, those that might be at home in their PJs, although some of them I know are fully dressed and ready to go for the day. So one of them texted me and said, "I'm not in my PJs." I was like, okay. So let's go ahead and start this morning with just some conscious breathing together, taking time to settle in, connect with the body and the breath. And so a conscious breath is where you seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, hold that breath for a few moments, and then release slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Holding that breath for a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs, and releasing slowly. A nice, long, slow, metered release. And as you release, giving yourself full and complete permission to unplug from that energy that is required of us throughout the week, that energy that we connect to for going and doing, striving, efforting. As together in sacred Sangha, we take time to connect with the energy of just being. That energy that requires nothing of us. And a second conscious breath together. Holding for a moment. And releasing. And as you release, just checking in with the body once more, making sure that if there are any points of tension or contraction, that we release and relax, remembering to unfurrow the eyebrows and release the forehead. The jaw is gentle, the shoulders drop, and the belly softens and releases. And a third conscious breath together, holding and releasing slowly. And as we release this third time, we welcome into our awareness the present moment. There is only this. This is all there is. And we rest in this presence. And so here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our time together today with a little bit of chanting. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition. Chanting is not about being a singer. It's about a deeply devotional expression of what is sacred within you and sharing that with the universe, giving voice to our hearts. And so our chant today is Om Amidewa Ze, Om Amidewa Ze. And in the Buddhist tradition, this is the chant that enhances compassion, compassion for all beings, including ourselves. As the Buddha said, if your compassion does not include yourself, then it is incomplete. And so let's take another conscious breath together. and let's begin. Om Mami Deva Ze. 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 Once more. Om Mami Deva Ze. And so here at Temple Buddhist Center, we practice Western Buddhism. Western Buddhism is a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. And this new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic. It's growing, it's learning and changing with us as we find out more each and every day about this amazing and beautiful human experience. It is also inclusive. It is active, and it focuses on core Buddhist insights, mindfulness, meditation, and their practical applications in our daily lives. Our goal here is not to get everyone to agree on a specific lineage or philosophy or sect of Buddhism, but rather it is on a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting together, whether we are spending time in noble silence, or whether we are sharing from the heart, we respect that you will participate at a level that is comfortable for you. We take refuge in the three jewels and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our own Buddha nature, as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, bringing a fresh and a new experience to each and every encounter. And the second jewel, the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear, delusion, and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And finally, Sangha, our spiritual community, an essential part of growth where we come together to help each other with the practice and to help each other along every step of the path itself. And so let's take a few moments now to silence any cell phones or electronic devices as we prepare for a time in contemplation and meditation. And just so you know that we have cushions up here, we have quite a few that are open. So those of you that may want to sit zazen style, cross-legged, by all means, you are welcome to come up and use these. Also, we have tissues and throat lozengers and a hearing device located at the altar at the back of the meditation hall. So you are welcome to utilize any of these things as necessary. We're going to begin with the prayer of refuge, and then we will move into a time of meditation. And I did want to share with everybody today that the meditation today is going to be a little shorter than our normal 12 to 15-minute meditation. And the reason why is because Robert is building a meditation into the Dharma talk today. So you'll actually get plenty of time in meditation, but we're building in a section today because it applies to the Dharma talk itself. So let's take a conscious breath together. And we will begin with the prayer of refuge. Together, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, for the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, for the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, for the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. And so, as we prepare now for a time in meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then we invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If, however, perhaps you are newer to meditation, we're going to begin with a dedication. We will sound the bell 3 times for the 3 jewels. Then there will be a brief guided meditation by our teacher today, Mr. Robert Brumet. And then we will spend approximately, as I said earlier, a little bit shortened time today, so about 5 to 6 minutes in meditation, at which point Robert will then lead us easily and gently into the Dharma talk itself, which will also include a built-in meditation to that. And so, with that in mind, let's take a conscious breath together. Body, speech, and mind, in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
As we listen to the sound of the bell, as it recedes into the silence, we follow that tone into the silence. We deepen the silence within ourselves simply by relaxing, by breathing more slowly, a little more deeply. And bringing awareness to the body, to the senses, the sensations in the body. Just feeling what you feel in the body as it sits. Warmth, cool, tension, relaxation. Tingling, itching, pleasant, unpleasant. Just notice all of the sensations that appear when you bring awareness to the body. Feeling the breath in the body, feeling the body breathe, feeling the aliveness in the body. Whenever the attention wanders, just come back to the awareness of the body. Sitting in the chair, sitting on the bench or the cushion, becoming aware of the body, the breath, coming home to this present moment. Always returning to our experience in the present moment. Coming home to the breath, coming home to the body. Feeling, sensing the body, the breath, and resting. Resting in that presence. I invite you to now become aware of hearing. I invite you to gently open your eyes and to become aware of seeing as well. And I encourage you to stay present to the feelings in the body as you listen to the Dharma talk. As we open our eyes, paying attention to seeing, hearing, staying present to the body. Good morning. Nice to see you all. Good to have you here. The title of my talk today is Get a Life. Now, when we hear that, it's certainly got its negative connotations because it sounds like we're being contemptuous or dismissive of someone. If we strip away the negative connotations and just think about what comes to mind when you hear those words. Get a life, or I need to get a life, or he needs to get a life. So when we talk about a life, what do we usually think of? Job, career, relationship, do something, own something. So we're talking about the things in your life. We're talking about the activities of your life. We're talking about your relationships, who you're with, what you do, where you put your attention. Usually that's what we mean when we talk about finding a life. But everything I've mentioned and everything we typically think about when we think about getting a life, my life, what do I call my life? I have a life here. I don't have a life here, whatever that means to you. Again, it usually refers to the circumstances of your life. But there's a difference, a big difference between the circumstances of your life and your life itself. Your life circumstances are things like where you live, where you work, if you're married, single, what kind of car you drive. All of those things are the circumstances of our life. But what is my life, really? My real life, not the life circumstances, but my real life can only be experienced in this moment. I can only live my life now. If I'm not in the present moment, I'm really not living my life. My heart may be beating, I may be breathing, but I'm really not living my life. It's kind of like there's a line from Mary Oliver, the poet. She says, are you breathing just a little and calling it a life? Many of us are. We may be very busy with our life activities. We may have a very full life in terms of life circumstances. But what about our life itself? Do you know many people that have a very busy and full set of life conditions, life circumstances, but they're breathing just a little? they're living horizontally. But there's another dimension of life, and that's the vertical dimension. When we live horizontally, we're focusing on our life conditions. Nothing wrong with that. But the problem is most of us in our culture, that's pretty much the only place we live. Where we go, what we do, who we're with. When we visit with friends, tell me about yourself. What have you been doing? Tell me about your life. My biography. This is what we call our life. But our life is something that you can only experience in the present moment. Most of what we call our life circumstances really are about creating and reflecting our ego identification. We start out relatively young adults searching for a life, which is very typical. We don't say to a 14-year-old, get a life, because it's their job to be living who they are. And eventually, the life conditions will begin to form. At some age, hopefully. For some of us, it takes longer than others. But we find a life's circumstances based upon our sense of self, our self-image, our identity. So who you are and what you do seem to be pretty closely related. Our ego, our activities, our relationships. We pick friends that reinforce our ego, typically. We don't hang out with people that insult us all the time or tear down our sense of self. So we do things, we be with people that reinforce our ego identity. And also active in our life, particularly in our early adulthood, is our ego ideal. The ego ideal is part of the ego structure. Our ego really consists of our ego identity, which is who we think we are, how we identify ourselves. And then the ego ideal is who I want to become, who I think I should be, who I aspire to become. You see, and much of our early adulthood, our 20s and 30s, is typically spent trying to close that distance between the ego identity and the ego ideal. I want to become the person that I should be. I want to get degrees, I want to get a good job, I want to have a family, whatever that ego ideal is. I want to be the best. I want to be the perfect mother. I want to be the perfect whatever I am. Butcher, baker, candlestick maker, whatever I am. I want to be the best. All of that is perfectly normal and perfectly okay. But unfortunately, in our culture, that's pretty much as far as we go, for the most part. That's as far as we go in terms of our culture supporting us. We see that as the end. As Freud used to say, creating a responsible citizen. a responsible adult. That's really what it's all about. But for some of us, that's not enough. You know, some people never reach their ego ideal, and that's difficult. Some of us do attain our ego ideal. That's even more difficult. It's even more difficult because that creates a crisis. It's a crisis because, well, I've done everything I thought I wanted to do. Now what? All of a sudden, I'm not happy like I thought I would be. All of this success hasn't brought me the joy, the fulfillment that I thought it would. Many times when I was a church minister, I would talk with middle-aged men and women who would often say, I've got everything I need. My church was in Overland Park, by the way. Most of the time, people were reasonably successful economically. I love my wife. I love my children. I like my job. I'm very successful. Got a nice home, da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm 45, I'm 50, and I feel empty inside. Is this all there is to it, you see? It's that syndrome of we climb the ladder of success only to discover that we put it up against the wrong wall. You know, it's like, hey, here I am. I worked all these years. And now what? And that's kind of a crisis point, and yet it's also a very powerful point because it's an opportunity for us to discover our life apart from our life circumstances. And sometimes our life circumstances have to fall apart before we're ready for our life. I remember one time after my career ended, my marriage ended, my money ended, most of my friends were gone. I was around 45-ish, sitting in front of my therapist, and I said, Sam, my life is over. Everything that was in my life is gone. She didn't say a word, but just nodded and quietly said, maybe you're ready for a new life. Never thought of that, huh? Maybe I'm ready for my real life. So, in the Christian scriptures, there's a quote from Jesus who says, whoever finds his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. That's often misunderstood, but I believe he's talking about the very thing we're talking about here. When we let go of the lesser life, the little self, then we put ourselves in a position to find the larger life. We go from living horizontally to living vertically. Living vertically, we're less concerned with our circumstances. We're less concerned with more doing, more having. And we're more concerned with living, with being. What is my life? Who am I anyway? What is this all about? I've lived so many years believing that what my culture taught me was true. You know, get ahead, do good. make lots of money, et cetera, et cetera. And so maybe we do that, maybe we don't. But sooner or later, if we're lucky, we become disillusioned. Blessed disillusionment. Sometimes it's difficult for me when people come to me and say, I'm totally disillusioned, I'm living in despair, my life is over. I'm thinking about suicide. And inside, I'm saying, yes, now it's time to begin. But I don't say that right away. But inside I do. Because I know there's an opportunity for that individual to become who they really are, to discover their true life. So what we're looking for is not a more life circumstances. I mean, you may be, and that's great if you are, but this is probably not what brought you here this morning. You probably didn't come expecting a success seminar, at least not in the usual sense of the word success. Sometimes we have to fail before we can really succeed, you know. We have to lose the old life. We enter into vertical living. And I think that's what Henry David Thoreau was referring to when he began his grand experiment some 150 years ago or more. He lived in a cabin that I think he built himself, I believe, on Walden Pond, Massachusetts. And he wrote in his memoir, which has become known as the book Walden, he says, I wanted to live deep. I wanted to live deep. I wanted to suck all the marrow out of life. I love that. Very vivid. To live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to rout all that was not my life. To cut a broad swath and to shave close. To drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. Can you hear the fierce determination there? What is my life? I want to get rid of all the clutter, all the stuff. Find out what my life is. And after 2 years, when he did write his memoir, Walden, one of the things he wrote is, you must live in the present, launch yourself on every wave, find your eternity in each moment. Fools stand on their island of opportunities and look toward another land. There is no other land. There is no other life but this one. The Buddha taught quite a bit about what has become known as the Sermon on the Preciousness of Human Life. He talks in the Mahima Nikaya, which is the middle-length discourses in the Theravadan tradition. He talks about how precious human life is. He says, just imagine that if a blind turtle was swimming in the oceans, just one blind turtle, and he came for upper air once every 100 years. Just imagine there was a horse collar, inner tube in modern terms, floating on the surface. What are the odds that that blind turtle is going to stick his head up through that horse collar. And he says that's greater than the probability of you having a human existence. Because in the Buddhist cosmology, there were many, many planes of existence. And the human existence was considered optimal. The Buddha said, this is the existence, this is a plane of existence where everything is just right for optimum growth. Life is short, but not too short. There's a good balance of suffering and pleasure and pain, suffering and joy. There's intelligence. We are intelligent beings, and yet we still are animals in many ways. So as humans, we are in this halfway point. As Plotinus would say, halfway between the beast and the angels. So we find this struggle between the angel and the beast, the gods and the animals that live within us. And this is difficult, but it's also optimal for our growth. So one of the things that's important in the Buddhist tradition is meditating upon the preciousness of human life and appreciating this particular life, what it took to bring you to this point in your existence. You know, even if you don't believe in reincarnation, just think about your life right now, who you are, and everything that it took to bring you right where you are and to make you who you are. It took all of it. So this lifetime, this moment, each moment, is optimal for your awakening. May not always feel good. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But we're not here to feel good, I don't believe. We're here to awaken. And when we awaken, we live in a state that goes beyond feeling good. It's a deep, deep peace. It's a deep, deep bliss. But the Buddha didn't talk much about that because he didn't want people to equate it with the human sense of bliss, which is pretty transitory, pretty thin compared to that of awakening. So as we consider living vertically, I invite you to think in terms of your life having two dimensions. You know, in a little while, we'll go out into one of those dimensions as we go back to our family or our activities or whatever we do. But between now and then, let's focus on living vertically. And ideally, you will take that with you. And ideally, I hope you think in those terms when you live your daily life. To take out those times when you've got 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You don't have to do anything. You can stop and breathe and live vertically. You know, if you want to get to the top of a 100-story building, you can run around on the first floor frantically, or you can get on an elevator and stand still and take the elevator to the top. Most of the time we're busy running around on the first floor. And somebody says, "What are you doing?" And we say, "I'm trying to get to the top floor." Well, you got to run faster, right? Because you're not running fast enough. So you need more stuff. You need a coach. You need a brand new pair of tennis shoes or whatever. We're talking about standing still and living vertically, living deeply. So I want to close with this quote. by Mary Oliver, one of my favorite poems. She says, doesn't everything die at last? Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with this one wild and precious life that is yours? So we'll take a moment. I invite you to close your eyes if you wish. And to once again feel your body. You don't even have to think in terms of meditation if you don't want to. Just think of claiming your life, coming home to your life. This is my life. I don't need to get a life. I need to just find the life that I have. I don't need to become anyone. I just need to discover who I already am. And in our meditation practice, we're not trying to become someone. We're not trying to become the Buddha. We're not trying to become enlightened. We're simply being who we are. Because who you really are is the Buddha. Who you really are is already enlightened. So I invite you to breathe deeply. As one poet puts it, to sit and to feast on your life, to taste your life. Just imagine that every breath might be your last. Breathe deeply. Breathing deeply, living deeply, feeling the life in your body. Just notice how you experience the life in your body. See if you can get in touch with that universal life. It's not your life, it's not my life. It's the one life being lived through you, as you. This is the deepest you. This is who you really are. May you live deeply. May you live every moment of this wild and precious life that you have. Peace. May all beings live in peace. So it is.
Thank you so much, Robert. And so let's take a moment as we transition from the Dharma talk into our heart practice time. A heart practice is not an intellectual activity. It is from the heart. And as we transfer, it's not uncommon to maybe shift or adjust your posture, take a conscious breath or two as we move from the talk into the heart practice. And our heart practice today is a metta practice, or a loving kindness practice. And so with that, we will begin by taking a deep conscious breath. And as you release that breath, some people like to create or form the Anjali Mudra, which is the focusing of the heart energy, or perhaps just placing your hand on your heart. Or if you'd rather, as you simply remain in a meditative posture with your hands on your lap, we invite you to flip them upside down, sort of creating an outward expression of your energy and of your heart's desire for all beings to be well and to have peace. And so we begin. And as you begin the practice, I invite you to create or form an image in your mind's eye, the image, a full body image of you, of the form that has been given your name and that has accrued the many experiences over the years. And holding this image in your mind's eye, recite silently to yourself these words of metta practice. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. And may I be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a friend of yours. Holding this image of your friend in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send to them metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a difficult person in your life, a challenging person. Could be a boss or a co-worker, a neighbor, a classmate, or perhaps even a political figure. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of the whole world, all the plants and the flowers and the trees, animals of the land, the sea, the sky, and all sentient beings, including ourselves. Holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send to us all metta. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be safe from inner and outer dangers. May we be well in body and mind. And may we be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And in the true spirit of dana. Dana is the Buddhist practice of generosity. Here at the temple, all of our services are given freely. And so in the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, which means not in return for anything that you have received today, but rather so that those who may be seeking refuge can find it here in this temple with this Sangha and with these teachings. The dana boxes are located in the back of the meditation hall. And we take a moment of gratitude for all of our amazing and wonderful ambassadors, those folks who have committed themselves to regular monthly electronic giving. It's not about the amount, it's just that the regular monthly giving helps us to set a budget here at Temple Buddhist Center. And also, and if you want to become an ambassador, just stop by our website, templebuddhistcenter.com, where you can also just scan that little card in the seats, in the little boxes in the seats in front of you. And gratitude for all of our volunteers, those folks who work each and every day to bring more opportunities for all of our Sangha to connect with each other, to deepen our practice, or to find newer understandings of the Dharma itself. And thank you so much to Rochelle for your beautiful music. Thank you so much, Mr. Robert Brumet, for your wisdom, your sharings, for your mentorship and your friendship. And thank you to each and every one of you for sharing your heart and your presence and your practice with all of us here at Temple Buddhist Center, both near and far. We are certainly the better for it. And so as we take a moment now to transition into our bodhicitta prayer, we will recite that one time together, everybody up in the heavenly abodes, and to our live stream Sangha as well. There we go. Together, may the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. And with the palms of our hands together in front of our hearts, as we now go forth from this place, may we enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us today. Just a few brief announcements. We are beginning something that's kind of organically been growing, which we're going to start calling Oneness at One series. So not quite every Sunday yet, but each Sunday we have wonderful events that are happening at 1 o'clock. So I'll get to that in just a second. Don't forget coffee and cookies downstairs, a chance to create and build Sangha with each other. Thank you so much, Carrie, for all the delicious crumble cookies and everything you do to take care of our little Sangha, keeping our tummies nice and yummy. And also, don't forget our lending library right over here. Lots of new books. So please come over and see if there is a Dharma book that can be of assistance or help to you. And so this is part of what I was talking about with our Oneness at One series, which we're kind of still in the process of formalizing. But on the first Sunday of every month, we have Interplay, a fabulous opportunity for adults to learn to find that that joy and that spontaneity of play. Our very own Beth Sarver is a certified interplay coach, and she'll be leading this at 1 o'clock downstairs in Temple Space. And then on third Sundays, Tim and Brian lead Authentic Relating, which again is another wonderful opportunity in a safe and structured environment to learn to speak more from the heart, to find that ability to speak from a vulnerable place instead of just all the time that kind of a shallow sort of a communication style that we often find ourselves in. And so also out there on our counter in front of the meditation hall is a sign-up sheet for our newsletter and for volunteer opportunities. And coming up, in fact, I think it's coming up this coming weekend. So this coming Saturday, as many of you know, Temple Buddhist Center features not only daily meditations, but also we have each quarter is a day-long silent retreat. And then each year, right now, we feature 2 4-day silent meditation retreats. So Robert and I are already planning the New Year's retreat. So I'll have information on that up soon. But coming up this Saturday is our day-long retreat from 9 to 4:30. And the theme is Samadhi, which is wise understanding. And we will be looking at wise understanding of roles, types, image. Robert talked a little bit today about image. And so we'll be looking at more deeply at that. And if you're kind of going, oh man, I don't think I can sit for a whole day, don't worry. It's a very structured, loving, and safe environment. So we'll be mixing it up between walking meditation, formal sitting practice. There will be one-to-one conferences with the teacher, or if there's a lot of people, that might be more like 4-to-1. But anyway, you have an opportunity to share with the teacher what's going on, as well as a silent meal together. So this is a great opportunity to really deepen your practice, and I want to encourage everybody to come and join us. If you're out of town, you can also join online. So that is, registration is available on our website. And thank you, Liz, for our wonderful online store. So we have lots of fun things on there that you can get for Temple Buddhist Center. And then I will leave this up, so if you'd like to take a picture of it or something like that, you can find out about all of our wonderful small groups that are happening, everything from Dave's Thursday night recovery class to Karen and Matt's Tuesday Buddha and the Bean, coffee and awakening in all of its forms. So lots of stuff going on. Oh, and don't forget, every Wednesday at noon, you can join us online live on Facebook Live for a 30-minute meditation between 12 and 12:30. So again, thank you so much, everyone. As you go into your day, I wish you peace, blessings, and perhaps even a little bit of shade somewhere. Bye now.